Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. Good morning, everybody. My name is Drew Embury, and welcome to our Knowledge Education Series event, Take Your Files to the Cloud with Microsoft SharePoint. At P&L Technology, we found that there's a lot happening in the technology industry, and it can be overwhelming to business people. So we hope that these sessions can bring some clarity to some of the different technology buzzwords that are being used in the industry today, and to help our attendees make better decisions. My name is Drew Embury again, and I'm a partner here at P&L Technology. And my role is to help set the technical direction for our company and help our clients get the most out of their technology investment. I'm really excited for this topic today, and we've got really strong attendance numbers. And I think that speaks to the popularity and relevance of this topic. So here's an overview of how the webinar will work today. This is a listen-only event, and it will be recorded. We know everybody is busy, and we will commit to a 30-minute maximum time for this event. We will divide up the 30 minutes into about 20 minutes for presentation and 10 minutes for questions and answers at the end. If you have questions, please use the chat function to send them in, and we'll save time at the end to address as many as we can. Following the session, we'll introduce some future topics that we hope you will be interested in learning more about, plus a fantastic opportunity to get some in-person training that could really help you be more productive. So don't drop off early today. You will be receiving an email that will contain a short survey that we hope you will take the time to fill out, as it will assist us in making these future sessions more informative. And finally, this webinar was created for a fairly broad audience, with mainly people who haven't been exposed to SharePoint before. So we'll hope you find this SharePoint session valuable and helpful to your business. All right, so what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to talk about Microsoft SharePoint. Microsoft SharePoint has evolved into an amazing tool, but until recently, mainly only large businesses utilized it. And with some recent updates that Microsoft has made, it's now ready for even the smallest of organizations to embrace and benefit from the amazing set of features and functionality that SharePoint can deliver. So what SharePoint can do is allow you to move all your files. So when I say files, think about things like Microsoft Word documents, Microsoft Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, PDFs or scanned images, JPEGs, other files like that, and many others, and take those to the cloud, where a whole new world of accessibility and collaboration is now possible. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to educate on why taking your files to the cloud versus keeping them on an on-site server and taking those to SharePoint may result in a major productivity gain for your organization. We're going to demonstrate in a live fashion, so I'm going to share my screen and demo in a live fashion how SharePoint works by sharing my screen. So this will help you see in a live fashion exactly how it works and help you start making the connection in your mind about how it could deliver a return in your business. What we aren't going to discuss today is how to migrate to SharePoint, but if you're curious after the webinar on the process, please reach out to us for more information on that. So before we get into the screen sharing, let's talk a little bit, why do businesses take their files to the cloud? And we see primarily 3 or 4 reasons why this occurs. The first one is modernization. So businesses are trying to move towards a serverless solution. And when I say a serverless solution, that means that they don't have a server on site at their business, and they don't have that expense and that complexity. But honestly, we really just aren't there yet technically. And most businesses we work with are best served by what we call a hybrid solution. So what a hybrid solution is those businesses will use an on-site server for some of the applications that they need to run, and then they'll bring in cloud resources to find the best mix of performance, features, and cost savings. So by taking your files to the cloud, it's kind of the next step in taking that move towards a serverless solution. While you'll probably still keep a server on site to run applications that don't have a cloud version, you're still able to continue to move towards that eventuality long term. The second reason is mobility. People are demanding access to their data from any location, at any time, and from any device. So employees want to work from home easily. They want to get access to their files from home. They want to grab presentations and deliver those, or get updates from a client's office on the Wi-Fi at a client's office. Or they're in a hotel room, they're traveling for businesses, and they want to access those files. Not only do they want to get access from wherever they're at, wherever they have an internet connection, they also want to use many different devices. So they want to use their iPads, they want to use their iPhones and their Android smartphones, their general PC like they use in the office, their home PC, or a laptop. And they want to access the same data without a lot of hassle. So having your files in the cloud greatly eases this requirement, as we'll show in a few minutes here in the live demonstration. Another reason, and this is a biggie, is really to enhance collaboration with employees and people outside your office. So think about like your partners that you work with, your vendors, your clients, your attorney, your CPA, people like that. And that collaboration isn't really possible or easy without taking your files to the cloud. So, what if you could share in a secure way certain files with your ad agency or your CPA or your attorney or maybe some of your key vendors? And that way your employees can then collaborate with them without emailing things back and forth constantly and never knowing which is the correct version and what's been updated and who's done what. SharePoint can really facilitate that, as we'll show here. And the last one is what I would just refer to as ancillary benefits. There's some things by having your files in the cloud that are eased, such as disaster recovery and reduced backup needs. So if your files are all in the cloud and you have something like a server crash, which is a terrible thing to experience if you've ever gone through it, you can keep working with that portion of your files while your business on-site server can be restored. So in addition to that, since your files are in the cloud, you can probably purchase a smaller server, spend less on storage, and pay for fewer backups because all the files have been moved to the cloud. So those are kind of the primary reasons we see people take their files to the cloud, and it's easy to talk about it, but I think it's even easier to show it, so that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. If you haven't taken your Ready Talk window to full screen, you might want to do that now, and everybody should be now seeing my screen. So how do we get to SharePoint? Well, this is one of the beauties of SharePoint. We can get to it from any web browser. So that kind of facilitates the part of getting into it from anywhere where you're at. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Internet Explorer here. And I'm going to go ahead and just log into my portal. So portal.microsoftonline.com, which is the address of my site here. It's going to go ahead and ask me to log in with my email address and password, which is already in there. So I'll just go ahead and log in. And this takes me to the Office 365 portal, which is a useful place to start. So across the top button here, you can see I have Microsoft Outlook, my calendar. I can get to my OneDrive and my sites. So this is also useful for working from home if I want to get to my email or my calendar or my address book. So although we're not going to cover that today, it's kind of a one-stop shop for where to start. The area where we're going to be focusing on today is the part of the portal that has to do directly with SharePoint, and that's the OneDrive area here. That's this little OneDrive here, and Sites. So let's go ahead and start with OneDrive. So what OneDrive is that's your personal document storage area. So that's where, if you've ever used like a My Documents or a My Docs folder before on your desktop, or a home drive or a user drive on your server, it's an area where you can store documents that nobody else really can get to. So it's a secured storage area for just you. And you can get to it from a couple different ways. One is I can just click the OneDrive here, and you're going to see that open up in SharePoint. And then you can see, similar to what you've probably used to, you've got a list of folders here with folder names, and then within those you can have additional folders and files and those types of things. So I can get to that from the web interface. One of the really cool things about OneDrive, though, is it's also available on your local PC via a synced folder. So I've already actually got that. What I can do is I can open that here, and you'll see on this is a local folder here, and then you see I've got OneDrive for Business here under my favorites. I click OneDrive for Business, and then you'll see I've got a folder structure here exactly like you would if you had a server on site. And if you can see, the name of the folders here is the same as the ones over here on the web interface. Now the really cool thing about this is a synchronized folder, and if you've ever used Dropbox before, this paradigm will be very, very similar to you. And what that does is it keeps a local synchronized copy of all of the data that's in my OneDrive. Now, why is that important? Well, there are times when you may want to work on your files where you don't have an internet connection. And one of the pretty common things that most people get right away when you start talking about that is, you're on an airplane and you need to work on your files. What you can do is just put whatever you need to work on in your OneDrive. You can work on the files on the airplane while you're offline. And then as soon as you get back into the office and connect to the network, or really doesn't even have to be the office, anywhere you have an internet connection, it'll synchronize those OneDrive files back to your cloud. So it's a really nice feature to enable those times when maybe you're going to be traveling in an area with poor internet, cell phone reception, or you're in an area where you're not going to have internet, or on an airplane. You can use the OneDrive to completely get to your files. And then I can also use the OneDrive folder just like I would any other Windows folder. So I could put documents in there. And they would sync directly up to my online storage. The really cool thing about OneDrive is there's an enormous amount of storage included. Every user gets 1 terabyte of storage. That's over 1,000 gigabytes. And that's per user. So if you've got 10 people in your organization, every user is going to get 1 terabyte of individual storage for their files. So really a lot of value that Microsoft's been delivering with the storage limits they've created. So I'm going to work primarily today from the web interface because I think that's the most interesting thing for people. And we're going to get right into working with documents. Now before we do that, we want to talk just about a couple of things with SharePoint. SharePoint allows us to work with documents in 2 ways. One is we can work with documents using an online version of Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. When I say an online version, that means a version that runs completely in my web browser, which means I don't have to have anything installed on the local PC. And that can be really important if you are working from a PC that you don't control, from a relative's house or from a client. You can still rest assured that you'll have access to view and edit documents, even if maybe they don't have Microsoft Office installed. But at the same time, it does give you the ability to work from a full version of Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on your local PC. And I think that's important too as you're transitioning to SharePoint. You don't have to take the tools everybody in your office is used to away from them in order to use SharePoint. They can really use the tools they're already accustomed to using without having to learn anything new. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and create a new document here, and you'll notice I'm still in my OneDrive, and you'll see I've got this New button up here. So I'm going to click New, and I'm going to create a Word document. What this is going to do now is take me into the Word Online version. So you'll notice I never left the web browser here. I'm still working in the web browser, and I've got a new document created. So I can start to type content. I can do everything pretty much I'm used to in Word. I could create a bulleted list. I can change fonts. I can highlight things. I can do all kinds of different I can do all kinds of different stuff right in the Word document. I can then give my document a name. So I can click on the document here, and I'll give it a nice name. And then when I'm done with that, I can basically just click right here back out to my OneDrive. And then there you'll see my new online Word file I just created. And you'll see when I created it a few seconds ago and that I created it. So real simple. You can do the same thing with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and we'll definitely do some more of that in just a minute here. I do want to switch gears right now though. I want to move from OneDrive, which again is my personal storage area, and I want to get into the team site. And so to get to the team site, I'm just going to go right over here to Sites. You see Sites on my banner up here, and I'm going to click that. That's going to take me into Sites where I'm just going to select the P&L Technology team site. And this is going to take me to our team site. So this would be if you have a shared drive in your office, like an S drive or a corporate drive that all of the people in your office put stuff on. This would be the corollary to that in SharePoint. You see over here to the left that SharePoint is organized by document libraries. So we have one for accounting and admin, We've got one for management that's secured. We've got sales. We've got some process and procedure stuff. You can lay those out really however you want to. I'm going to go ahead and go into the sales folder here. And then I have a folder here called demo. So I'm going to go ahead and work out of that today. So here you see in the demo folder I've got some existing Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files sitting out there. So we created a new one a little bit ago in our OneDrive. So now we're working out of the team site, and we're going to show how we can edit existing files, super easy. So here we've got, let's see, we've got Drew's conference agenda. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just click on that, and then it's going to go ahead and open up. Looks like we don't have a whole lot in here, but that's okay. It's going to open up again in the Word online version. And we've got a little bit of data in here already. So we can edit this a couple of ways. One is we can choose to edit here. We can choose to edit it in Word Online. So now I'm editing in Word Online just like I was earlier. I'm going to add a little bit of content. As soon as I've done with that and I'm pleased with that, I can go ahead and come back to the team site there. And then you'll notice that the conference agenda, if I go back into it, it's been edited with the content that I added to it. We can then also edit those in the full version of Microsoft Word, and I wanted to show you how that works. So again, we can click the edit here, and instead of editing in Word Online, which I did just a moment ago, I'm going to go ahead and edit that in Microsoft Word. So what that's going to do now, it'll take just a moment because it has to pull it down from the cloud. Oops, I got to drag that over from my other monitor here. So now you'll see I'm editing that in the full version of Microsoft Word. So you'll notice I'm no longer in a web browser. I'm in the full version of Microsoft Word. And the full version does have the entire Microsoft Word feature set, where the online version is a little bit more of a basic feature set. So if I've used Word for 15, 20 years, I don't have to abandon that. I can make changes. After I've done that, I can just save my changes and close Word. And then if I come back into my conference agenda here using the online version, you'll notice that the content I added from the full version of Word is there. So, editing files is very, very simple, and you've got the ability. What I find is most people that go to SharePoint tend to start with the full versions because that's what they're used to. But after a while, do slowly transition to the online versions just because they're so easy to use and that they're a little bit lighter weight. So, but completely there. I can also do file management then using SharePoint. So again, I'm in my team site here. Maybe I want to change the title of this, Drew's conference agenda. I can just go to this little ellipses here, these little 3 dots, and click that. And then I've got another ellipses here, and I can edit these properties. So that's going to bring me in the ability to rename that file essentially. I can also put some other information here, like a title if I wanted to. At this point, I'm not going to do that. And then there, now you see I've edited that file to have a better name. So another really cool feature in SharePoint is, so I'm in the sales demo folder now, and I've got all these files here, and I can't remember exactly which one I'm looking for. So I've got proposal template and white paper template. I can't remember which one's which. By just simply clicking the little ellipsis here, it's going to open up a document preview. So here you can see I'm previewing that document, and I can look and see what's in that document without really opening it up. And you can see how quickly I can switch through the previews here to really find the document I want, where if I had to open these all up, it would take me a minute apiece. So I can say, okay, yeah, white paper template. Oh, there's the one I'm looking for, and then I can open it up and start editing that way. So really neat way to find what you're looking for there. SharePoint also allows you to easily pull in content from your local PC. So I'm going to go ahead and unmaximize my SharePoint here. Then you see here is my Windows desktop, and here I've got a few files sitting out there. And I see I've got this graphic file here. If I open it up, it's a graphic that we've got, and I want to bring that into SharePoint. There's a number of ways I can do this. The easiest way I like is just take it and drag it over here, and then see it says drop there, and you see now I've got that conference icon color logo in SharePoint. Again, I can click the little ellipsis here and I can preview what's in that file. So very, very easy to bring files into SharePoint. On the other hand, if I wanted this white paper template, I could drag it out to my desktop and drop it there, and now I've got that white paper template out on my desktop. So really easy to bring. If you've got a thumb drive with some images on it or something, you want to bring those into SharePoint, really easy to do. Okay, so let's switch gears yet again. One of the things that we have clients tell us all the time is Drew, I've got this file system. I've got 10,000 files out there. We've got years of history from our business. We've been in business a long time. I've got policies and procedures we've written. And what always happens? Somebody comes in my office and stands in my door and says, I can't find it. I can't find what I'm looking for. I can't find the form that you asked me to fill out. I can't find it. Where is it? You spend a lot of time doing that. It's a big problem in offices with the explosion of information we've had. So what SharePoint adds is a Google-like capability to Google documents to find stuff in your office. And this is really awesome. So I wanted to kind of show you what that looks like. So here, you see we have search this site, and I've got a file. We've got thousands of files out here, and I know that I'm looking for a certificate. It's a certificate that we made up. So I'm going to search for a certificate, and you see how quick that comes back. And then here you see a bunch of different documents that were returned. And then by using the preview, you see how I can preview those different documents? I can preview that. That's not the one I'm looking for. Certificate. Oh, there it is. So I can see it's a certificate of achievement that we made up for our employees. I found that with just a couple seconds. It doesn't matter where it's at. It could be buried, 10 folders deep in some area that I would probably never find if I was looking by myself, and I can instantly find that. So let's do that again, and let's show some additional powerful features of search. So I'm going to go ahead and search now. It's like, I know I'm looking for a document. I know it had the word financial in it. That's all I know. So I'm going to type financial. So as you would expect, we've got a lot of documents here that came back for financial. And you know what? I'm looking here and I don't see it. So what I know is, I know I created that document. I know it was created by me. So we can look over to the right here and you see where it says author. And we've got a various number of individuals. I'm going to click my name, Drew Embury, and click there. So then it's refined those search results to only be documents that I created. And I'm looking here, and you know what? I still don't see it, but hey, I know it was an Excel file as well. So I'm also going to come up here to Result Type and click Excel. So I'm going to click that. So now it's refined it to documents that I created that are Excel files with the word financial in them. You know what? There it is right there. And I can preview it, and I can see, hey, yep, that's what I'm looking for. So really cool functionality that, try doing that without SharePoint. You just can't do it. And it will save you time if you get all your files into there, train people how to use this. It takes 5 minutes to train people how to use it. You'll cut down on the amount of things people can't find drastically. Okay, so we've shown search. I'm going to go ahead here and go back to my sales demo folder. And we're going to show a couple of additional things about SharePoint that are really neat. The one that I really like is it has a technology called versioning. And what versioning is the ability to back out changes that are made to documents. So if you've got documents out there that 3 or 4 people are editing at any one given time, and maybe you've got a new employee that makes a mistake, and you need to get it back to the version before they got in there, you can do that automatically. You don't have to call us to back it up or restore it or anything like that. And what you're going to do here is simply go to the ellipsis. So we're going to work off this donation spreadsheet, and we're going to click the ellipsis, and we're going to click the ellipsis again, and we're going to go to version history. So here you see the different versions, when they were made, and then who made the changes, and how much the size of the document changed since then. You can actually even drill down in to see what's changed. We don't have time to really show that today, but by simply clicking then on this link here, you can see I can either view it view the document as it sat at that revision. I can restore it, or I can delete that particular revision, however I want to handle that. So really neat way of being able to put documents out there that maybe you wouldn't have the trust to do previously, to give that access to everybody, and then be able to back out changes if somebody does make a mistake and shoots themselves in the foot. Okay, so versioning, really cool feature. Another really powerful thing of SharePoint is some of the collaboration features, and we're going to just show those today really briefly. So what SharePoint does is allows you to expose files or folders to people outside your office that don't even work at your organization. So we use this for our attorneys, for our CPAs, for our advertising folks. And what we'll do is we'll just share that document or that folder. So what we can do, I'm going to go ahead and share this folder. I'm going to click this share button up here, and we'll show how this works. So I can invite people. All I have to do is put their name in. So I'm going to use, this is a personal address I have. And then I can choose whether that person can either edit or just view those folders. I can put a message in there, and then I want to leave this require sign-in checked. And that's really it. All I have to do is click share then. They'll get an email saying I've shared this with them. What they'd have to do is create a free Microsoft account if they don't already have one. But if they use services like Hotmail or anything like that, chances are your people that you're sharing will already have them. And then they can get into those files, and if you've given them access, they can edit them. This is really cool when you're working on something that changes a lot with people outside your organizations. What will happen if you don't have this is you'll be emailing a copy of whatever you're working on to them. They may make some changes and email it back. Then you'll have to incorporate those changes and send out another email. And if you're doing that with 3 or 4 or 5 people, it can be almost impossible to keep track of merging everybody's changes together into the same document. Or what happens, people work on an old document, and you're like, you know what, I already fixed that. I already updated that, but you didn't see the latest version, or you're cluttering up their email boxes with 4, 5, 6 emails every time a new version comes out. This completely solves that. You just share a file or a folder, and everybody works off the same file at the same time. It's absolutely wonderful, and you think you won't use it much, but until you start using it and start seeing how it can work, then it kind of unlocks the power, and it starts to click in your mind all the times where you're emailing documents out that change frequently and having to resend those. A couple of other things. We're kind of getting short on time here, so I'm gonna go pretty quick here. We can also then, even within our office, do what we call email a link to a document. So what you want to do when you use SharePoint typically is you want to get out of the habit of putting any documents in email. Email just isn't great for documents. So what we can do is we can go up here to Files, and I've got this donation spreadsheet checked. And what I'm going to do is just choose, where did it go? That was in Library. So I'm going to do email a link. So this will open up my email, and you see it's got a link to our SharePoint site to the folder. And then I can put, hey team, I need you to check out this file and provide input. So I may send that to 5 people. What they'll do is instead of reading the file in the email, is they'll open it up directly from the SharePoint site. So why is that a big deal? Well, I can give you an example from just a week ago. We have some configuration documents in our business of highly technical information, and we had a new version come out. I sent that out to some of my key people asking for feedback, and about 10 minutes later, one of our key people, Jake, responded. He said, hey, I see 3 or 4 things I think I'd recommend you change. And I looked at it, and they made a lot of sense, and I incorporated those changes into the document. Well, before those additional 4 people had even received the document or even read the document, I had already incorporated Jake's changes into the document, so when they opened it up, they were already there. So I didn't have to email out another version saying, hey, use this one instead, and then another person responds and use this one instead. It's a really great way to share content and work on things together is by just emailing links and getting files out of email. Email was never designed to be used kind of how we've all been using it for quite a while. Okay. I'm going to cut short just a couple of things, but I think we've seen a lot of the key things. I did promise to leave some time for questions. I'm going to switch back now to our screen mode. Okay, we do have a number of questions here already. Doesn't the versioning feature mean that an organization is retaining documents that should have been destroyed pursuant to the org's document retention policy? That's a good question, and SharePoint does have complete document retention control, so you can configure that. Most of my small businesses don't have a lot of document retention policies, and they want to just keep versions to protect themselves. But if you do have legal and compliance requirements, SharePoint can completely be configured to either shut that off completely or to expire those after a set amount of time. You can even mark documents in SharePoint saying, I want this document automatically destroyed after a year. Some people that have really strict requirements enjoy that feature, and it is available. Okay, a couple of other questions. Do the receivers of your email link have to have SharePoint in order to access the files you're trying to share? And no, they don't. So what you would do is share that document, and all they have to have is a free Microsoft account. And so it's free for them to create, and I'm guessing most people already have one anyway. So it takes 2 seconds to set up. So again, we've used this with a number of people outside of our organization that aren't technical, and I don't even think I've gotten a question of how do I set it up. It's so intuitive to do, and they don't have to have SharePoint, so that cuts down on any, hey, do they have a license, or just wouldn't work if that was required. The next question is, does SharePoint as demonstrated come with Office 365? So the question is, it depends on what plan you have. If you've got plan E1, which is the Enterprise 1 plan, then yes, SharePoint is completely included with that, and everything we demoed today works on E1. If you just have Exchange Online, just the email component, there is an upgrade to get to SharePoint that's a relatively low cost. It's an extra $4 per user per month if you've got Exchange Online to be able to enact that. The only caveat is, and I haven't talked too much about the iPads yet, but if you do want to edit documents from your iPad and not just view documents, then you have to have what's known as Plan E3. But a lot of people just want to view documents on their iPads, and editing isn't a huge concern, and that is completely available in Plan E1. We did get some questions then, which segues in nicely. Does all of this work from my iPad? And the answer is yes. The iPad, the iPhone, the Android, they all have applications that allow you to access and even edit, if you have that E3 plan, all of your SharePoint files. And it is shocking how often you'll start to use it after you have it. I've given even PowerPoint presentations on my iPad, so I just pull up the PowerPoint presentation from SharePoint and then project it up on an 82-inch projector in our conference room using an Apple TV. So it all sounds complicated, but it's actually really easy and didn't require a lot of extensive setup. Basically, you just put the site in, pltechnology.sharepoint.com, you log in with your username and password, and all your files are there just like we demonstrated, really. Next question, SharePoint is accessible from any browser, and yeah, the answer is yes. It'll work in Chrome, it'll work in IE, and it'll work in Safari. I use IE just because it's Microsoft, and I find Microsoft to Microsoft sometimes works best, but really most of the rest of our office uses Chrome and has no issue with that. So it all works really, really well. Okay, I do need to move on. I've got a couple more questions. I'm going to try to get to those just directly with that person in email. I want to make sure we kind of meet our time commitments here. And I did want to make sure that everybody saw this. We've got what we think is a can't-miss event coming up. And one of the things that we see in P&L Technology is our clients spend tens of thousands of dollars on technology, and oftentimes they skimp on training, which is a cheap way to make sure you're getting the most out of that. So we kind of listen to our clients, and we've got an interactive day-long educational event that we really focuses on IT's impact in the business operation. So we've developed an agenda based on feedback from our clients, and we've got a number of topics that we really think will help employees improve productivity and better serve their needs. And basically attendees can choose to participate in either the whole day or they can come to just individual 1-hour sessions. And we've got focused training for the frontline staff on things like SharePoint, like Outlook, like Microsoft Link, like Microsoft Word and Excel. We've got some more thought-provoking presentations on new technology similar to this one today, so we can introduce people to what's out there and how they might incorporate that in their business. We've also got some hands-on labs. Rather than just listening to me talk about it, we've got some labs where you can actually test drive the new technologies at your own PC. And we've also got some executive-only networking and roundtable sessions. So check it out. Come to pltechnology.com/events, and we've got our agenda out there. We've got more information on the event. We'd love to see as many of you as possible, and again, we think there's so much value there into bringing training for either you or really anybody in your organization that could use the training in the sessions we've got. Any questions about that too, feel free to contact me or really just call our office. We've got this filling up pretty fast, so if you're interested, I recommend you register as soon as possible so we can hold a seat for you. The very last thing I wanted to push out is we have another one of these webinars coming up December 4th. And what we're doing is never lose another detail with Microsoft OneNote. So we're finding that information workers out there are just completely overloaded. And they've got these stacks of yellow notepads with notes on it from client meetings and things they need to get done. And it's kind of similar to SharePoint we talked about earlier. You can just never find what those things are, or make sure you break those down into action items and takeaways. So our interactive webinar on Microsoft OneNote will show you how to capture notes from meetings or client interactions, tag items for follow-up, insert audio recordings and whiteboard drawings, link notes to other Office documents, and easily organize and retrieve thousands of notes that may go back years really in an instant fashion. So this webinar is perfect for the overloaded worker who really wants a practical introduction to a tool that can help them eliminate those handwritten notes and make just a massive leap forward in organization. We are going to shoot for another half an hour for that event, and it's going to be very similar to the one we did today, where I'll demonstrate that, and you can see for yourself how that'll work. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining us today. If you have any other questions, feel free to call or email me. We'll be sending the recording of the event out, and please pass it along to anyone who you think you will benefit from the material. Come to our conference and sign up for the next event. So thanks again for your time, and really enjoy the rest of your day.